You're listening to the Digest This podcast, and I'm your host, Bethany Cameron. Hey guys, welcome back to the Digest This podcast. We're talking about 15 foods and drinks that are supposed to help bloating, but I'm going to give you my take because there are some things I don't agree with and there's some things I do. But before we even get into that, can you guys do me a favor? Because it's come to my attention that a lot of you guys that listen to the show regularly twice a week, because we come out with 2 episodes a week, I've realized that you guys don't even follow the show. So for all my hardcore listeners that have failed to hit that follow button, be sure to do that so you don't miss any. It also just really helps the show in general, and it helps me get better guests and high profile people on the show. So make sure you hit that follow button. And if you feel so inclined, I would love a 5-star rating and review. Thank you so much for your support. I have a question for you all. What's antibacterial, antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, contains antioxidants, improves oral health and digestive support, and contributes to wound healing? If you guessed Manuka honey, then you're absolutely right. Every time I talk about Manuka honey from New Zealand on my Instagram, I always get messages from my followers telling me how much they appreciate me introducing this ancient healing honey to them and their family. A little goes a long way, and this honey should be saved for medicinal purposes, not baking into cakes or cookies. It's something I always have in my pantry because it never spoils, ever. And a tiny teaspoon daily is all you need to get the endless benefits both internally and if you apply it externally on your face for breakouts or even burns, its potent healing powers work wonders. Manuka honey contains 3 times more antioxidants than your typical sweetener and the special antibacterial compound called MGO. The higher the MGO count, the more of these antibacterial compounds exist in the honey. It's hard to find Manuka honey with an MGO above 500, but Manuka guarantees an MGO of at least 850. Now it's easier than ever to get Manuka honey. Just head on over to manuka.com/digest to save $70 on their starter kit, which comes with an 850 plus MGO Manuka honey jar, 5 honey travel sticks, a wooden spoon, and a guidebook. That's manuka.com/digest to save $70 plus $25 worth of free gifts. That's manuka.com/digest. Bloating, gas, I'm pretty sure we all experience it. And for many, it's a daily issue that we combat. And I'm sure you guys know that some foods and beverages can help reduce bloating and ease gastrointestinal discomfort. Foods that can help reduce bloating include various fruits, different types of vegetables. That's the claim. I'm going to get into that, as well as certain types of drinks. So typically, bloating is frequently caused by the things that we eat. So just like the things that we eat to help debloat, certain things we eat can actually bloat us. So it's not just what we eat, though. It can be due to stress. It could be due to even chiropractic. So if you're out of alignment, and this is something that I've been focusing on just recently in the past couple years, is getting chiropractic care. Because if you're out of alignment, that means certain nerves are pinched. And when nerves are pinched, they stop those signals that go to your gut, to your brain, and it can really hinder digestion in general. And then, of course, if you're not digesting food or if things are stuck, gas can build up because it's not moving through, and things start to ferment in your tummy. And when things ferment, what happens? Gas bubbles start, right? Just like kimchi is fermented, and you open up a new jar of kimchi and it starts to kind of bubble. Or even, I don't know if you've experienced coconut cult. When you open a jar, it kind of fizzes. They used to do that a lot more now. I think that they started getting complaints. This is like side note that coconut cult started getting complaints because they were some of them were exploding in the store, and the stores were kind of getting mad because they had to clean up the explosions of the fermentation. So Anyways, that's a side note, but all that to say is when you eat even fermented foods, they can really bloat you and cause gas, at least for me. Now, certain fermented foods do not do that, such as yogurt, kefir, things like that. But fermented vegetables, on the other hand, they just do a number. Now, aside from lifestyle like chiropractic, reducing stress, and even aside from the foods that we eat, I also want to point out that staying hydrated can really help prevent constipation, water retention, and gas and bloating. I personally notice a difference when I am drinking more water and electrolytes, that my digestion is working better. I'm less bloated, I'm less gassy, and things just move better. Plus, when you're more hydrated, your lymphatic system works optimally. So, you definitely don't want a stagnant lymphatic system. So, drink your water, drink your electrolytes. I always love Element, shameless plug. I just do the unflavored, which contains no stevia, no natural flavors. It's just 3 ingredients. It's salt, magnesium, and potassium. I know they have other flavors, and those do have stevia and natural flavors, but I'm always a proponent of the unflavored. So drink up, you guys. All right, so I was interested into seeing what the experts were saying about ways to debloat. And this could be a little controversial, but I'm just going to give you my take because there's a lot of, I want to say, quote, experts out there. And I actually got this from a reputable source, but they're saying to eat more high fiber foods. So, in my experience, and I've also addressed this with many of my followers on Instagram, is that when you eat more fiber rich foods, it can be beneficial for some, but the majority of people have a hard time digesting fiber rich foods, even if they're healthy for you, right? I mean, there's a lot of healthy foods out there, but the fiber-rich foods, they can cause a lot of gas and bloating. I mean, obviously, beans are notorious for causing gas, and beans are very high in fiber, but a lot of vegetables, salads, especially if you consume them raw. So if you're eating a raw salad, that is just gonna be gaslit all up in there, and you're probably not going to want to sleep to anyone that night because you're just going to be like farting up the wazoo. So I personally don't recommend vegetables, but this reputable website is telling people to eat more vegetables, more fiber, and I think that's actually doing us a disservice. So that is my take on that particular recommendation. Now, they are also saying to eat oranges. So, and I think they're saying to eat oranges because oranges are rich. I mean, I don't want to say they're rich in fiber. They do have some, but it's not like a bunch of kale, right? But they are high water content. And so, again, as I mentioned, when you're hydrated, you have less gas, less bloating. So anything that has high water content, watermelons, cucumber without the skins, okay? Oranges, of course, but they're highlighting oranges because it's high water, and it contains vitamin C. Here's a side note too, that one kiwi contains more vitamin C than an orange. Okay, so if you're looking for the best source of vitamin C, kiwis are great. So that I don't know why oranges got like the gold standard for like vitamin C, and everyone thinks of oranges when they think of vitamin C, but there's so many other fruits and vegetables out there with more vitamin C than an orange. So yes, I guess oranges can help you debloat, but it's not because of the orange itself. It's just because it has a lot of water in it, okay? So they're also saying bananas can help you debloat and help with gas. And I do agree with this. I recently got tested for some food allergies, and apparently I'm allergic to bananas. But I didn't know this because I don't really like bananas in general. I have some banana recipes on my Instagram page, and like banana bread and stuff on my blog. But for a while I was just like, I don't know. I don't know. Do you ever feel like you just don't eat a certain food after a while and you're like, yeah, I've kind of like lost interest in it? That was me with bananas. And maybe it was a good thing. But anyways, bananas can help you debloat. I think it's because they are high in potassium. So, and potassium also can what? Regulate sodium levels and prevent water retention. So there's good scientific facts and studies that you definitely need a lot of potassium to help with water retention and bloating and things like that. So if you are allergic to bananas or if you don't like it, the reason they're saying bananas is potassium. So if you can get it from other sources, which several other foods contain potassium, even an electrolyte mix, right? Like I just mentioned, that contains potassium too. So just things with potassium in general. Now, pineapples. I do agree with this. I've experienced this. Pineapples, obviously, they're a high water content, but they contain enzymes called bromelain. And this enzyme is often used in traditional medicine to treat digestive complaints. And so it can help break down hard to digest meats. In fact, pineapples long ago, they were used as a meat tenderizer. So people would get raw meat and they would use pineapples to tenderize the meat. And basically the enzymes in the fresh pineapple, don't do canned or anything like that. It has to be fresh. The enzymes in the pineapple would help soften the meat, I guess, for lack of a better word. So it'd be more palatable, it'd be easier to chew. So they would marinate the raw meat in pineapple and then cook it, and it would be a meat tenderizer. Now, it also contains a lot of anti-inflammatory properties, and it's been known that pineapple juice can help reduce inflammation. Now, this study was in mice, but it's been shown now, I've experienced it myself, that I feel less inflamed when I eat pineapple, and I can definitely notice a difference in my digestion as well. And of course, with gas, sometimes I'll even have a spear of pineapple after dinner, and that can really help too, just with digestion overall. And then again, when your digestion is working properly, you are less bloated and gassy. I'm sure those listening can relate. If you ever feel like your digestion isn't working and you feel like things are stuck and not moving, well, guess what happens? Your stomach bloats, right? So I feel like bloating and gas and digestion obviously play a part. So if you can get better digestion, you can have less bloat. They're also saying papayas. Now, I also agree with this because papayas are kind of similar to pineapple in that they also contain digestive enzymes. Now, they contain different digestive enzymes than pineapple, but still the same. There's many different types of enzymes. So pineapple also contains enzymes. And so I eat pineapple almost every single day. I love adding it to my smoothies. They also have pineapple supplements, like for a enzyme supplement. If you go down like the enzyme aisle in the health food store, you'll see different digestive enzymes, but you'll see a lot of enzymes that are, quote, papaya enzymes. And so that's because they're taking the enzymes from the papaya and concentrating them into a digestive pill. I do want to point out, though, fresh is always best because a lot of enzymes and supplements on the market, they may say papaya, but they contain other ingredients, fillers, additives, gums, even stevia and natural flavors I've noticed in supplements now, which is crazy. So you just want to be careful. And then on top of that, there is citric acid. And on top of that, a lot of supplements now, I even did a reel about it on my page, on my Instagram, that they are deriving these enzymes from black mold or a type of mold. And again, or yeast. So it's either they're deriving it from yeast or they're deriving it from mold. Go check out that reel on my Instagram page because I'm showing you. Sometimes even if you turn the supplement around, it will say like, quote, papaya enzyme, and then in parentheses, it'll say derived from yeast or derived from mold. which is just crazy. But and it's not even required that they say where it's derived from. Some companies just do that as a service. So that for that, I am grateful that they're pretty honest, but it's not mandatory. So you have no idea where these enzymes and supplements are being derived from. So that's something that I have learned being in the supplement industry, having my own supplement line, Bethany's Pantry, dealing with ingredient suppliers. I know where things come from, how things are made. So I know what the right questions to ask are to these supplying companies. And sadly, unfortunately, a lot of things, because it's cheap, it's easy to make, all of these supplements and vitamins are really synthetic. So you want to get the real deal, just grab a pineapple or grab a papaya, you guys. Now, they're also saying berries. I just feel like this particular article from this reputable source, they're just throwing things out there. I know it's written by nutritionists and dietitians, and no shade to them, but I'm just feeling like they're putting things out there that it's like, okay, berries, they can help you debloat, but I personally don't think they're going to move the needle. You really need something a little bit better, right? You need something a little bit more stronger than just eating a handful of berries is just what they're saying. So great. Yeah, it has fiber. That's why they're saying it. They help. It's because they have fiber. Well, then you could just say everything helps with bloating because almost everything has some fiber, right? So I feel like that's just a blanket statement because berries have fiber, they help with bloating. Well, I could say that about like literally anything, right? Poop, constipation, and diarrhea is something that can be a taboo topic, but we all have experienced it in some shape or form. No pun intended. But seriously, the way our poop looks, smells, and the frequency we do it is key to measuring our gut health. But that's not the only way to measure. If you suffer from acne, poor immune system, brain fog, even depression and anxiety, these also are signs and symptoms of poor gut health. In fact, studies are now coming out that our gut microbiome is linked to obesity and type 2 diabetes. Now, the first thought of action for most would be to take a probiotic, and they do help, but with so many on the market and so many conflicting opinions, it's hard to decipher which one is the best and the best for you. I have always been a proponent of Seed's Daily Symbiotic, which is a soil-based probiotic that doesn't need refrigeration and can survive your 98.6 body temperature. Because if you think about it, if a probiotic needs refrigeration, how will it survive once you swallow it? Seed's DSO1 Symbiotic Capsule is a probiotic and prebiotic all in one, which means there's actually a capsule within a capsule, and the contents are released at different times in different areas of your gut for optimal benefits. Not only has every ingredient in Seed's capsule been scientifically tested individually for their safety, dosage, and benefits, the DSO1 special formulation has been evaluated as a whole. So it's something you can trust that's backed by science. So support your gut, skin, brain, and immunity with Seed's DSO1 Daily Symbiotic. Just go to seed.com/digest and use code 25digest to get 25% off your first month. That's 25% off your first month of Seed's DSO1 Daily Symbiotic at seed.com/digest and use code 25digest. They're saying tomatoes can help with bloating. Now, I don't agree. I think that especially with people with digestive issues, tomatoes, I don't do so well with tomatoes personally, and I can do some tomatoes. The skins have to be peeled. They're saying it because tomatoes have prebiotic properties. Now, there's so many other things that have prebiotics. Green bananas actually have prebiotics. So if you just get a banana and it's still green, those contain prebiotics. White rice, when you cook it and then cool it, has to be cooled down. That changes to resistant starch, which then is a prebiotic. Resistant starch is prebiotic. Also, cooked and cooled sweet potatoes or cooked and cooled just regular potatoes. The cooling process after it's been cooked, again, changes the chemical compounds in the starch and it becomes resistant starch, which acts as food for your good bacteria. Okay, so Tomatoes, I think it's very acidic, and a lot of people can't do tomatoes or nightshades in general. So I personally don't agree with that. It's funny that they're also saying lentils are great to help debloat and have less gas, because I think lentils give you gas and make you bloated sometimes. So I just think it's interesting. And this is kind of just an aha moment to you that's listening, is to not believe everything you read on the internet, because I think that people do, and they just read everything that's on the internet just because it's from a quote reputable source, or maybe it's from a dietitian that's writing it, or a nutritionist. And so I think we can all agree that lentils can definitely cause some digestive upsets. Now, I'm not saying that I never eat lentils. I think that they can be helpful in certain areas, but again, they're saying lentils can help because they're high in fiber. So I'm just like, again, with the fiber thing, it just cracks me up. All right, so broccoli, they're saying broccoli can help with debloating. I think broccoli causes bloating. So again, this is just kind of mind-boggling to me. If I ever do eat broccoli, I never not eat it. I do like it, but it has to be cooked and it has to be steamed versus baked or broiled or roasted in the oven. I don't really like that. I have to steam it, because when you steam vegetables, especially broccoli, it retains the moisture and it actually gets more water within the broccoli. I was going to say sprout, within the broccoli floret. If you've ever steamed something, have you noticed that it's obviously it's softer, but it feels like it has more water in it because it's absorbed that water that you're steaming it in. When you roast something in the oven, it doesn't have that same effect. It's actually a little bit more dry, which can cause digestive upset. So in short, vegetables, I always steam them versus roast. And so, but to the point, I don't believe that they can help with bloating. They're saying that carrots and celery and spinach, so those are 3 different ones, part of the 15 foods. So I don't believe carrots, celery, and spinach help. Now, basically for the same reasons I just stated, right? The fiber and all of that. Celery, though, I do want to point out, because the whole celery juice, I remember, I think this was like before COVID even, right? I think so, like that medical medium guy, I think he made it popular. Celery juice, I tried it when it was, quote, popular and like becoming a trend. Again, this was before 2020. I tried it because I was curious. I was like, well, let's see. So I got celery juice. It wrecked my gut. I think I even still have a story highlight saved on my Instagram from, gosh, whatever, 2019, 2018. It was a long time ago, but I think I still saved it. It's one of the oldest story highlights. If you go to my Instagram page, it'll say like celery juice. And I show you what happens. I literally look pregnant because I drank the celery juice. It bloated me. Within like 30 minutes, my stomach grew. Not only was I bloated, but I was in so much pain. Like I didn't even know what was going on. And so I actually had to see my holistic doctor, and he's like, what the heck did you eat? And I was like, I just drank celery juice. And so again, just because it works for some people, and I'm not saying it doesn't work, because there are people out there, obviously, it became popular and it became a trend because, it was helping some, obviously, otherwise it wouldn't have blown up. But I think people with digestive issues, especially, stay away from the celery juice, you guys. Really, it's like too much of a good thing is not a good thing, right? All right, so this article is also saying that oats can help with bloating and digestion. Now, and they're saying this because, of course, the fiber, but they also have a certain type of carbohydrate called beta-glucan, which has been shown to help alleviate colitis, which is inflammation in the colon. Now, I do agree with this, but I want you to be cautious, because whenever you eat oats, they're one of the top crops that are sprayed with glyphosate. So you have to make sure, not only if they're organic oats, obviously you want to get organic oats because it's like a huge thing to make sure it's organic, but you want to make sure that the company or the brand that you're getting the oats from, test them for glyphosate. You want to make sure that they're going the extra mile for the oats. Organic isn't enough for me. I want them to have that certification and say, hey, look, we tested for glyphosate, right? I know for a fact that Lovebird cereal, I know they're like a grain-free cereal. They recently came out with some I was going to say gluten-free oats that are granola. So it's not oatmeal, but it's like a oat granola. So good, by the way. But they test for glyphosate. So not only are they using organic oats, but they're testing, third-party testing for glyphosate in their oats. So I feel really confident. I actually know the owner personally, and great guy, Parker, and he just goes the extra mile for everything. So yeah, I would say yes, oats can be helpful, especially because of the beta-glucan, but you just want to make sure it's sourced correctly. And on top of that, oats don't bloat you. I think that's there's some foods that are like the safe foods. Like I'm going to say a sweet potato. Sweet potatoes typically do really well for me, and if they do well for you too, I have no digestive upsets. Oats, you just want to be careful. Too much too can obviously cause some issues. But again, I think oats are great if they're sourced from the right place. All right, fermented foods. This article, again, as I mentioned at the beginning, they're saying fermented foods. I don't really need to go over this because I kind of did at the beginning. I would definitely stay away from kombucha. I think that's just a sugar bomb, personally. No sauerkraut. I think the fermented foods would be kefir and yogurt. That would be my choice. So ginger tea. Now, this definitely can help. So I agree with this. Ginger and peppermint. They're also saying peppermint. So I'm just going to clump these two together. Ginger and peppermint tea can really help debloat you. It can cause your belly to kind of go. I was just going to say debloat, but I just said that. Just go down and help alleviate gas, I should say. And you just want to make sure, again, it's from a reputable source. I love the tea from Peak Tea. It's actually one of my sponsors. No affiliation with this post, but Peak Tea is great. And they have this tea called Tummy, or it's like a digestive tea. It has ginger. I believe it has a little bit of cinnamon. It may even have some peppermint combined. But it's so great. There's no tea bags, no toxic tea bags, no strings. It's actually a powder form, which I like because you don't even have to steep it. You can just put it in your hot water or even iced, and it mixes really well. And it tastes so good. It's actually helped me personally. But so look for the digestive, it'll say digestive tea or something to that effect. So yeah, anyways, and shameless plug again for Peak. All of their stuff is organic, all of it. And they do triple toxin screening. So there's no mold, no heavy metals, none of that. They do third party, they test. So I really feel confident drinking their teas. So those are the things that the article had mentioned. So you can kind of see, I'm kind of split between what they said and what they're recommending. I do agree with some and I don't with others. I also want to point out there are other things that you are doing that can cause bloat that I want to quickly address. So chewing gum can actually make you bloated. So because you're chewing, also sucking on hard candy, drinking through a straw, all of these things can create gas that you don't even realize. You're chewing, you're drinking through straws, that you're ingesting air and you don't even realize it. So you can cut those out of your lifestyle and see if that helps. Obviously, avoiding artificial sweeteners like erythritol, xylitol, even stevia and monk fruit, honestly, could cause gas. So just if you're going to go for sugar, do raw honey, do even coconut sugar, date sugar, blackstrap molasses, things like literally real sugar. So I would just prefer that over all the fake stuff because that can just open a can of worms for other issues. Eating slowly. You guys, you have to eat slowly because if you eat too fast, I've experienced this several times, it causes me to bloat like no other. So sit down for a meal, be conscious of what you're eating, enjoy your meal, don't scarf it down. In fact, if I only have 5 minutes to eat in between meetings or whatever, I won't eat. I'll actually just fast because I know that if I try to eat within those 5 minutes, I'm going to feel worse than if I just didn't eat at all because I'm going to be bloated. I'm going to be cramping. It's probably not even going to be digesting because I'm trying to scarf everything down in between meetings. And that's not good. So I personally just wait until I have a moment to enjoy my food. Otherwise, I know I'm just going to be worse off. And I would say, lastly, again, if you're doing all of this stuff and you're like, I'm still bloated, then there's probably something else happening. You probably have SIBO, or you probably have a bacterial overgrowth or something else happening. So I would definitely get it checked out because if you're bloated all of the time, that can definitely be an imbalance of, good bacteria versus bad bacteria. So, it's always good to just check things out. All right, guys, I hope this was helpful, insightful, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave me a review, give it 5 stars, help support the show, and post it on Instagram. Tag me, Little Sipper. I love to hear and see that you listened. Thanks for listening to this episode of Digest This. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review in your podcast app to let us know. If you're ever wondering how you can support me and this podcast, sharing it with your friends and family is the best way. This is a Wellness Loud production produced by Drake Peterson and edited by Mike Fry. To check out more shows by my team, go to wellnessloud.com, and to email the show, message us at digestthispod@gmail.com. See you next time. The content of this show is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for individual medical and mental health advice and does not constitute a provider-patient relationship. As always, talk to your doctor or health team first.
Are you ready to rock middle age? I'm Dr. Tina Moore, Gen X truth teller and holistic physician. On the Dr. Tina Show, one of Apple Podcast's top alternative health shows, I share what actually works for metabolic health, hormones, and strength, backed by decades of clinical results, not trends. From loving the gym and hitting your protein goals to peptides and microdosing GLP-1s, it's all done the right way, not the hype way. Because menopause doesn't have to suck if you're fit. New episodes every Thursday, produced by Drake Peterson and Wellness Loud.